All right, welcome everyone to the XR News Med Health Edition. We are so excited to have you all here. We've got an amazing special guest, and I want to my name is Laurel. I'm the Director of Educators in VR. I want to just welcome you here, and I welcome our guest too. So we, Educators in VR produces the XR News. We have since 2018, and we are meeting every Wednesday here in Engage XR. This is the place to be. On the first Wednesday of the month, which is today, we have our amazing XR News Med Health edition, and with the amazing Rachel D. And then we have a regular XR News on the second and the fourth Wednesdays of the month. And on the third Wednesday of the month, we have an amazing Innovation Spotlight with Chris Madsen, Maxwell McGee, and Dr. Tom Furness. You can learn more about everything that we are doing through all of our social networks. You can find us on our YouTube channel. I mean, just check them out at educatorsinvr.com. You'll have links to all of those things. And we also want to be very thankful and grateful to all of our incredible partners that help make this all possible, including the Reinhardt Foundation, Girls Team Institute, the Immersive Learning Research Network, Virtual World Society, Vertex Form 3D, Engage XR, and the Cadets Metaverse, and many more. And you help make this possible. All right, so we're going to get on with the show here with the XR Med Health Special Edition for Educators in VR with our amazing host, Rachel D., and she's going to introduce our guest today. So, all you, Rachel.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome. I'm Rachel D. with Educators in VR, and I'm here to stay curious and showcase what's next in XR for the medical and health community. Today, I'm thrilled to sit down with Dr. Jane Harrington, a microbiologist, veteran medical professor, and the CEO and co-founder of MedMicroMaps. After teaching more than 7,000 learners across 4 different countries and mentoring 65 plus research students, Dr. Harrington traded in PowerPoints for headsets, building an XR platform that supersizes microbes into an immersive world where students diagnose infections, pick the right antibiotics, and even get guidance from a mascot named Fagi. Hopefully I didn't murder that. But she's fresh off of All 2025 and gearing up for early access. Oh, wait, she's already accessed it to her MetaQuest release this summer. She's here to show us the MedMicroMaps, making microbiology fun, memorable, and actually inclusive for neurodiverse learners. Dr. Jay Harrington, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. Very much. I'm anytime I get to talk about my beloved microbes, I love it. Most people, I say the word microbiology and they flinch, and the response is, "I'm not that smart." And that makes me sad, because my response is, do you have a basic idea of the planets? Because you had models. You played with them whenever you were in elementary school. So my mission is to show the microbes, make them less intimidating, and absolutely learning should be fun. It should be joyous.
Yes, and I definitely think you create that task so easily. I've got to experience it a couple of times, and it was just so amazing to see everything and like the color and the actual interaction of it. It is definitely something that is memorable and fun.
Yeah, I like to give a big background about education. I love teaching, and I had to always tell my students that I will do anything to help you learn. I will do anything. So I got into digital media, and so it was probably 15 years ago when I was at San Diego State, and using the iPads, really pushing what we have for tech to make education more accessible. And I use that a lot for, I personally, people have heard of dyslexia's flipped coming in. I do not have that. I'm a very, very fast reader. I have what's called dyspraxia. It's altered proprioception. It's less than 4% of the population estimated to have it. And then graphia is flipped coming out. And that is something I struggle with. And I flip numbers, I flip letters. I didn't know what the word was. I got assessed 20 years ago, and they said, well, you have a cognitive processing disorder, but you have good grades. I had good grades, but I never got straight A's. I could not go to medical school because I could not do standardized tests. And I struggled, and something was wrong with me. And I got into, I love science, I love microbes. And so when I was teaching, especially I was in St. Kitts, 70% of my population was from Puerto Rico. So they were non-native English speakers. And when I was teaching them with the multiple choice questions, we would get stuck on a word. I would flip a word because I do, and they would misinterpret how like a preposition or a clause was because of the differences between English and Spanish. But if we were on a whiteboard and I could draw things and I have them draw things about cause and effect or like how things were related, I can identify where the where the miscommunication was. And that is just such an incredible, powerful benefit for XR, and that the language challenges, we can really get around them. So I want to give that I'll pause that the struggles myself, the struggles of my students, when all you have is PowerPoint, textbook, and multiple choice question, those of us who struggle with words, we will never get straight A's.
No, it creates a whole new level of teaching method for sure. So how long have you been working within the VR, the XR realm, or how did this come about for you?
I always was pushing the boundaries of how do I take, so for medical students, so I've been really medical school, but I teach undergraduate nursing, I go high school, so I've been around all levels. They have to learn about 250 microbes. My full my full slide set is about 1,500 PowerPoint slides. How do you memorize that? How do you organize that? How do you model? Because microbes, you can't see them, you can't touch them. And so I've always been pushing about technology. It was 2019. I went to a school that had at St. George's University in Grenada, and they had a Center for Biomedical Imaging. And I made animations, so I got into 3D animations. 2019, I bought my first Oculus Rift. So 2019, before the pandemic was happening, Oculus Rift obsolete in in 6 months.
Right.
So yeah, the platforms they change. So of course the pandemic hit. And that becomes such an incredible change for all of us. And I was at home teaching to my Zoom camera, and this is fall of 2020. Fall of 2020, right? This is fall 2020, October, fall of 2020. I'm teaching. I had 900 students across the globe, and I contacted the other professors, and I said, "Are you teaching SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus COVID? Are you teaching the pathologist, the clinician, the anatomy? Are you teaching this?" They all responded, "No, it's not on the test." And I just want to have that moment. Just so much confusion, misinformation, and I was reading. I'm a COVID expert, and I said, I have a responsibility to these people who are volunteering their time in the hospitals. I have a responsibility to tell everyone who's scared, afraid, overwhelmed. So I need to make time. This is funny, but not funny. The origins of MedMicroMaps is because I needed time in my lecture series, 7 hours of lectures. I had to cover my microbes, and because I have dyspraxia, I printed the microbes. The names of flu, respiratory syncytia, tuberculosis. I printed them at home, and I had them spaced out in my house. In my mind, I organize things by space, color. I have synesthesia, so everything's got color. And so how did I organize them? It started out with the body, and that's what. Thank you for showing a compass. Looking, I'm like the flight director. Look this way. So if you have a sore throat, so waking up, this is a universal experience. You have a sore throat. Is that upper or is that lower respiratory? Because there are different microbes associated. And so north is upper. That is going to be our coordinate. South is lower. How long? How long have you had the sore throat? I was fine yesterday. I just woke up today. That's going to be our west. That's the fast onset, 24, 48 hours. It's small. The viruses and bacteria are small, and so they replicate quick. Versus if you've had a cough and it's lower respiratory and you've had a cough for a month, we're starting to think about parasites, fungus. We're thinking about tuberculosis. So I'll just, for first off, is using spatial repetition is helping about organizing. And so this is where I was sort of the start of this. I was doing it instinctively for my whole life. I want to communicate with our educators. Spatial positioning and spatial repetition is so important to build the neurons. You build memory. It is actually coordinates of the brain will respond to certain patterns. There's a key study that was done with rats. They were in a cage and it was divided up into quarter sections. So think north, south, east, west. They had a treat up in the northwest corner. They had, it was like a shock in the southwest corner, and they looked at the brain. And the pattern of where the northwest corner was would light up a certain region of the brain versus the southwest corner, it lit up the other side of the brain. So I just want to, I'll stop and I don't talk on and on and on. But that is something that I want to communicate to our educators. Using spatial patterns becomes a sectioning. I describe it like going to the library. I go to the library, kids section is almost always to the right. You go upstairs and the nonfiction is always on the second floor. So that is how you can build about your teaching and utilizing not just words, but being like this is this bucket, this is this bucket. And then you learn more and more and more things. And it's a lot easier to start with the 4.
No, compartmentalizing makes a lot of sense to me. And so this is your logo for the app, correct? And
Yes.
so is that how you made it to the design, or did you want to discuss that with us real quick before we move on?
So yeah, the other big component are the colors, and so the colors is starting out really with the purples that are in the bottom left corner. These actual color hex codes are from microscopic images, and so the purple is MRSA. Everyone's heard of MRSA. Everyone good? MRSA is Staph aureus, very, very common skin infection. So the purple that we got, the top purple, is actually what we took a Staph aureus stain, a microscopy, and we took the hex code. E. coli is pink, and that's where that hex code comes from. The fungi, those are going to be the like. We'll see this in a minute. And the blue is lactophenol blue. The parasites, we do stool samples for them, and so there are always ranges of orange and red. And then the teal colors, those are viruses, and this is from the original, very, very first imaging of SARS-CoV virus, and they have this teal color. And so that's what I'm using color coding as well as spatial patterns and ranking in size. The viruses are the smallest in the upper left, and then the parasites are in the bottom right. And so I worked with a graphic designer in the course of 2 years to advance the system. It's a comprehensive ebook. It is 230 pages, font 6, to cover all infectious diseases. And so that was the original before we went into VR. But the system, whenever we launched, it was web-based, so I was tracking user engagement, and we got across 3 cohorts of students between 87 to 92% adoption, 1,000 views per month consistently across these 3. And the students come back and say, this is so easy. I'm a visual learner. So that's the origins of it. So again, I'll pause for questions.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's absolutely beautiful. And the fact that that's truly what it looks like in real life, and then you can convey that, it's so smart and witty. I love it. Did anybody have any questions at the moment? You're welcome to go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you don't have any questions right now, get to thinking, and maybe later on we'll have some space so we can sit and talk a little further. All right. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just keep going on here. So after this, when were you able to start bringing it into VR, and how did you think you were going to really dive into making each individual virus, like instead of making it cartoonish, make it as real as possible, but yet still have that component to where it's play? Jane,
The
you have yourself on mute. Sorry about that. You're unmuted.
Okay. Yes. We've been doing virtual worlds for years, and still the mute button's our nemesis. So how did we go from two-dimensional PowerPoint, because this is still computer-based, to immersive? And it was spring of 2023. We were planning to leave the Caribbean because my daughter's going into high school in the fall, and I got NOTA. And so the NOTA program, and I designed what was in my imagination in NOTA. And so that was the first step in 2023 of how do I convert what's in my imagination to consistency for PowerPoint to 3D. And I started a new position and moved to Billings, Montana. And I submitted my pitch to National Science Foundation October 2023, and I got invited to apply for the Phase 1 SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, in 24 hours. I got invited very quickly. And so then the springtime is really, so spring of 2024 is whenever I found XR Women. And I started networking. I found immersive learning, and now it was introduction, meet people, and I just reached out to anyone and everyone who would take my call. And so, so that was spring of 2024, and it was September 15th, 2024 is when we got our funding, and that's whenever we started building, and that's when it's Blender is for the microbes. They're all based on real microscopy. And so we spend, with our Lori Annis is our XR generalist, we spend a lot of time looking about literature. We look at, well, what about this? What about this? Different types of microscopy. And so we wanted to have the assets to represent not just the colors, not just the shapes, but the different structures and features. And so it becomes that if you look at them side by side, it's so obvious the differences. Versus if you're just studying a bunch of list of Latin-based names, it's just gibberish. It's just gibberish. Right. So yeah, absolutely fall. We just got started.
Oh, that's so great. And I love the community of XR. And I think you explained it perfectly. It's like once you start meeting one person, then it falls into the next community. And we all are so excited, and we want to share and explore. I think curiosity in VR is one of my favorite things. So on your design here, it's for every brain. The homepage promises microbial fun for all ages, with inclusive adaptive levels. And you spoke about reaching learners in dyslexia, ADHD, or dyspraxia.
Yes.
Can you share 2 concrete design choices that you use within this?
Yes, and that's Rachel and I met beforehand. I said I'm not going to go on and on about my microbes. I love about the principles of accessibility, and so Immersive Learning Research Network. I presented last summer for the conference, and I really started looking into the benefits of anatomy, about how it's helping for and I say visual and hands-on learners. Choice is so important. Choosing if you want to play, if you want to read, if you want to hear, if you want to repeat, if you want to move on. So I think choice is something that is really the future of really having great learning experiences, versus you're sitting in a classroom, someone's talking at you, and you have to go do multiple choice questions. There's no choice in that, where we are all coming with a different experience, different level, different curiosity, even energy. How tired or stressed or distracted are you? And so we want to have guidance, but we really want to have the player, the student, we want them to have their access to the information in different ways. So it starts out, so we just released in the MetaQuest Alpha channel, and we want the user to be introduced to me, like an actual video of me, because the brain knows people and say, hey, this is a person, and then it introduces phages. So there's a bacteriophage, and the bacteriophage is so adorable and so cute. And then it's
Yes.
like, do you want to learn? Do you want to play? Do you want to learn and do you want to play? Or, what level do you feel? I've never heard of microbiology before, and we've had kids love our game. They've never heard of Streptococcus pyogenes. They've never heard of, and so we have built-in features so the language for the AI will adjust, and it's like, and even for the quizzing, or for the case, like you have to figure out that it's strep throat. We always have there's choice of, do you want to be challenged? Do you want to just come in here play? So I say, my message to everyone of building XR or educating about XR is having the engagement, having the user really make decisions at each point so that it becomes tailored to them. We have adjusted sound, we have adjusted light, the music, so we're going to have the music background that it can change, and eventually you can change skybox or not. So we are a house of neurodivergence, and so my husband loves to play. I love to learn. I'm very, 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 very academic. I love to read, and so if we can have it so that we're both happy, that's great.
No, I love how it's so many different options, and you can tune up the volume, lower it. You can customize it for each person and where they are. Just because they have ADHD doesn't mean it's really high right now. Maybe other times it's lower, so that you can adjust. And how many languages is this already in? I love the scalability of this.
Yeah, right now, we built the app, and a minimal viable product, 7 months. I mean, we are a small team. I love working with students, so we have student interns, and we use Convey. So Convey is our conversational, and I think Convey has got 150 language options.
Oh, wow. That's just so amazing. That blows out the doors, and the fact that you can reach 150 different languages with the same app.
Yeah.
Is this where AI is really coming into the app work with you, or how is AI affecting the app right now?
Well, it's I think we use AI every day, and so we do have our conversational AI. We trained the characters, so the bacteriophage is trained on my material, and so regarding the education aspect of it, you have to have it curated, and so if you just had OpenAI, there's going to be inaccuracies versus the microbiology content. It is curated to a selected textbook that is open access, and my PowerPoints, my lectures, the questions. And so in the partnership with AI, you really have to put safeguards on it. And so our character is my daughter, and so my daughter's 15. She gave us a lot of the slang, so it's Gen Z slang, and it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. The bacteriophage is absolutely hilarious and talks about the characters as family members. And that now becomes much easier to, I'm studying for a test and memorize versus these are all characters that have a history and have motivation. And I'm envisioning at some point in time us having a motion picture. A scripted storyline, but that becomes emotional. It becomes human. It becomes, whenever you add those characters that have, it's more interesting whenever there's battles and there's good guys and there's bad guys and so the AI, our character, really has driven the story and the emotion and all that stuff. But again, trained by my husband, trained by my daughter, and trained for myself, so that it's a very family-friendly app. Caveat to that is, as we advance, of course, we're going to get into sexually transmitted infections. So there will be a disclaimer, because I do talk about syphilis, herpes, like we're going to go in that direction. So.
No, I think education is key, especially in type of any disease that we want to prevent from spreading. So since we're talking about the characters, would you like to bring one out now and we can go into detail about how it works for you? Sure.
Yeah, pretty much load any of them. If we can stay on the slide that has the pictures of the microbes, it's a little easier. We have a issue with the what do you call the colors, the modeling? So we create these assets in Blender, and there is a incompatibility with Engage. So this model is Streptococcus pyogenes, and in our gameplay in the Unity, you can like whip it around like a snake, what have you. And that's what we're designing this character as a spitting cobra. So this is the causative agent of strep throat, of flesh-eating disease. So Jim Henson died. So you remember the Muppets? Yeah, Jim Henson actually died from. Yeah, that killed this. Strep throat, very serious infection. I'll give away that's what our first storyline is. If you don't go to the doctors and get antibiotics and take your full antibiotics, this particular bacteria can lead to what's called rheumatic fever. And like developing countries that people who don't have access to doctors, don't have access to medicine, they end up with a lifelong debilitating cardiac condition. And so that's something that we look at it as cute. I just gotta plug in my headset, of course.
No,
what is the number one problem? Number one problem in XR is the mute button. Number two is have to charge the headset.
Hey, Lance, can we bring up another friend? And what's so great is like during the process of you experiencing the app, all of these microbes are everywhere, and these viruses, and they're all a comparative size to each other. So it makes it so grand.
Yeah, and that's using sizing in that our major innovation, our major patent. This is Salmonella. My postdoc, I worked for 3 years with mouse infection models, and I infected mice with salmonella from HIV/AIDS patients from the VA. So I infected a lot of mice. So it has a tail. It's called a flagella, and it allows it to swim through water. It loves turtles. It loves birds. If you have a flock of chickens, don't kiss your chickens. That was the CDC warning. But yeah, this one's going to be pink, and yeah, we can see the picture of it. If anyone would love to check out a demo of our build, we have a spatial.io build. We stopped spending a lot of time in there because it's not supporting VR headsets anymore. But if you want to come see the assets, we have a surfing salmonella game, so you can race your friends. I'm like science, 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 and I'm an expert in salmonella, and I can go on. And then my husband's like, let's make him surfing, and I'm like, all right.
Keeping it fun.
Yeah, fun is number one. Fun is I would say actually accessible fun. That is a guiding principle for everything that we do.
No, that's great. And is it K through 12 is what you're typically teaching to, or how does that shape up so far?
Our key target for our fall release are going to be really high schools. Absolutely, we've had 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds in our headset, and they love the game. They pick up the experience. They don't need any instructions. We were in Coronado Island for NextMed Health. We were in the innovation lab, and the director, the founder of NextMed Health, his 2 sons were in the headsets for 45 minutes. They had so much fun. They can have fun, but they don't necessarily benefit from the learning. That really starts at freshman biology when they learn about DNA, RNA, proteins, and lipids. And so that's really, looking about the different microbes. They can have fun. Again, family friendly, any age. My friend's son, ADHD, autism, and he just had such a blast. He was in the headset for 25 minutes, which is a big deal. But conceptually, if you see the viruses, it's herpes is on the left, adenovirus, which causes pink eye, is the second one, HIV is the third one, and then coronavirus is the one that's on the right. And in the experience, or in our spatial, you can walk through them and you can see the RNA versus the DNA. So if we can bring out influenza, it kept the color for the genomes. And so
then after this session, we'll have them up so you can physically walk through them and check them out for yourself.
Yeah,
it's really
And so for the concept, the learning, freshman biology, these are the RNA segments. And so this is influenza. The tops of them is what we call hemagglutinin, so that's going to be like H1 when we talk about the H1N1, or we talk about H3N2. That's actually these proteins. So the big ones are the H's. So think of the big as first, and then the little ones, those are the N. That's the second one. And so when we have the flu shot, we're going to be we need to have antibodies against the H. The H is really the most important for immunity. And like whenever it was 2009, and we got a piece of RNA. So I'm going to walk in here. There's a piece of RNA that came from a pig, and it made a new H, and our population hadn't seen it in 30 years. And that was what the swine flu that happened in 2009. It's still circulating. So I teach this to students, and it's too much. It's just, again, H1N1, H3N2, it's alphabet soup. Where if you look at it and say, oh, this is the hemagglutinin. It sticks out. It's going to be the attachment. Oh, this one is neuraminidase. This is smaller. It has a different function. And in our app, there are different colors. Oh, look at this. It's RNA. They're single-stranded. And if we can pull, if we have herpes, if we have the herpes one, that's a DNA virus. So using colors, using shapes, using even the way that the genome is positioned, it makes it so much easier. Yeah, this is us at NextMed Health.
Oh, yeah. And I was just going to ask, you're fresh off the AWE, and you had how many users experience your app, and what was the main takeaways?
Well, we released just before AWE, invitation only for the gameplay. We wanted XR industry people. And when we released, so before AWE, we released at 11 o'clock at night. This was June 2nd. And I was on LinkedIn, and Jose Ferreira Costa, who we had co-presented at Immersive X, and he saw our spatial build. So he early demo. By 1 o'clock our time AM, he had tried it in Spain before he was going to work, and he recorded the gameplay and posted our first review and said, "This is beautiful. It's so easy." And so people I had not even met in real life in XR Women, they had a chance to try it in advance. And then at AWE, we had headsets, and then this is actually at Next Med Health, and everyone loved the microbes. They're beautiful. Tink's Playground, she tried it the first night release, and she goes, "They're so yummy. It's the hands. We love the hands." And that is really where like key learning happens. We did get feedback, bugginess, of course. I've got a list of bugs, but it was too much. Everything was there. All the microbes were there. Everything, like the AI is talking. It was too much, and so it was overwhelming for non-science users. And so now we're back at the drawing, and not where we're finding. And so now our storyline is that the player like sees the human and the sore throat, and sees, now I'm in like a clinic and I can see that, I can relate to that. And then we take them into the human body, and their role is a white blood cell. And so all of the grabbing and shooting, all of the interactions with the microbes, it's now first player that you play the role as a microbe killer. You're going to be hunting the microbes, and your job is to find the enemy, to identify the enemy, and to eliminate the enemy. And it becomes this really fun gameplay. So those of you who are really want to try, it will be releasing our next update on the 15th. So you can go to our website, sign up, and I'll add you to the invite list. But July 15th is when we'll have our next version that has the bugs fixed.
Well, I think this makes a perfect segue to give everyone a show from the video. It's from their YouTube channel. And yeah, just let's check it out.
And disclaimer, the song was done by AI. It's so catchy.
It's everywhere.
MedMicroMaps, that's the only way to learn. MedMicroMaps, it's a better way to learn. Take your turn, take your turn. Struggling to learn the old-fashioned way. Learning now is easy, now can say. Holding microbes in my hand, gotta spread this message through the land. Had a hard time understanding, but now I see it so clearly. Breaking free from what I knew into something wild and new. MedMicroMaps, that's the only way to learn. MedMicroMaps, watch and feel and take your turn. Take your turn. MedMicroMaps, this is how I really learn. MedMicroMaps, now it's finally your turn.
That's so great. I love your mascot. How did that come to about?
Everyone loves the bacteriophage.
No, it's super cool.
I do outreach. I've done summer camps. I started out as a mad scientist, and I bring coloring sheets. I do clay modeling, and so a lot on the islands where I would go to the local, the local Kittian or Grenadian schools, and always the bacteriophage, which looks like a spider, is the most favorite. So that model. The T4 macrophage, oh sorry, it's a macrophage. Haha, dysgraphia, I flipped. The bacteriophage is actually what it is. It is in your gut, so it belongs with E. coli, and so all of us actually have this this bacteriophage inside of our gut, and so that one, it became a guide, and then that's what, it's not a human pathogen, it's actually a virus that targets bacteria. And so having a microbe that is your guide is going to be that's relatable, that is adorable. The googly eyes was a big debate. My husband said no googly eyes. I said googly eyes, and we went with it. And it kind of evolved about the character. And we've XR Women. That was actually our first time debuting the audio. It was from through Convey, but absolutely choosing a microbe as the fun guide. Have you seen Mulan, the Disney movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mushu. And so, or if you're talking about in Star Wars, R2D2, like that's having a guide that is knowledgeable but cute and not intimidating. And so that was a very deliberate educational strategy that you have. Dr. Jane, the avatar, which we saw in there. The Dr. Jane avatar is the sage on the stage is the knowledgeable, and if you want that, then Dr. Jane will go on and on and on about the microbes, because I love to. But it's intimidating. People come in and say, I don't know what this word is. I don't know what she's talking about, because I do that. I've been teaching year 2 medical students for 15 years, so I use a very weird, specialized language that's very intimidating, and people feel, they feel ashamed, they feel stupid, they're intimidated, and that is not, that I want to break that barrier. And so phagy is Gen Z, and it's what we call near peer teaching. And so near peer teaching is like a TA or upperclassman or an older brother, that the learner can say, I'm really confused. Can you break down what that Dr. Jane Harrington said in a language that is that's at my, can you explain this as if I were an 8-year-old? And that's where AI comes in exquisitely. We did our customer discovery. We went to 7 campuses, 4 states. We interviewed, it ended up being 52 students, mostly college, but we did interview some high school. And we asked them, how do you study? How do you use AI? And consistently, they said they take the lectures, they take the chapter, they take the primary literature article and put it into AI and say, explain it to me like I'm a freshman in college, or explain it to me like I am 8 years old. And so that's we designed that based on the feedback from our customer discovery, because we want to do whatever it takes so that the person, the student, the learner, the user, the player is getting the most out of the activity.
That's great. I really enjoy your passion, the intentional of so many different facets of this app, and just the way that it's progressing. It sounds like it's so amazing. What's one thing that you would like us to take away that maybe we didn't get to touch base about in this short, quick meeting?
I want to thank everyone for being here. I will say XR Industries, we just went to AWE, which was amazing, and I still haven't gotten, I have my list of follow-ups, and I need to do my social media. But thank you everyone for being XR evangelists. And that's what, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. The technology, I mean, every day there's a bug, every day there's an error, every day there's a problem, and we're starting to plan for smart glasses. Really excited about Meta just leaked that they're going to have smart glasses coming out that have projections. So we're designing for that. Spectacles. We built in spatial.io, so after this, if we can make the link public and available so you can check it out, but they don't support headsets anymore. I was devastated because I was so frustrated. We spent so much time there, but it was like, okay, grieve for a day for this lost world. I mean, it's still there on mobile, but now we need to move forward. And so all of you who are here, you know about the tech frustration. Even right now, I plugged in my headset. I did, but I had a meeting before this, and I am twisted because I'm plugged into the wall. So takeaway, spread our message. Absolutely. We are looking for more test users, promote us, share on Facebook, parents, especially teenagers. So teenagers are high school. That's our major demographic. Schools. We are going to be partnering for doing the pilot for the matching to educational outcomes. So spreading the message is what I'm asking, but even before that, thank you for your commitment to our XR industry, because a win for one of us is a win for all of us. That's actually quoting from 3 Pound Games, Robin and Lauren Mulder. So I just thank you. This is my husband Ian Holyoke, of course. He is our chief technical officer, and he's like, I'm ready to retire. Can we get another chief technical officer? So the frustrating days are rewarded with sharing with community.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this information with us. And like I said, afterwards, we'll have all these 3D models out, and we'll have them beautifully enlarged so you can walk through them and investigate. And hopefully, Ms. Jane Harrington will stick around for a little bit to have a quick chat. If anybody wanted to take themselves off mute and ask any questions, please, Dot.
Oh,
I'd love
Dot,
to know.
go ahead.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dr. Jane, you referenced some safeguards with AI. That was a great song, by the way. But what are some of the safeguards you have to keep in mind when you're creating in XR and you're using AI?
Oh, if anyone has been in Roblox or you've been in VR chat with a bunch of teenagers, the bullying and the cursing is it's not. And so just the social guidelines now, we're checking out different social metaverse platforms. So metaverse, they're down in Miami, and they have bots ready that are going to be holding the users to community standards. So no cursing I don't like cursing. I do not like it. I'm uncomfortable with it. And so that's a number one of just a behavior. Two, for us is that we're educational. We are not medical advice. And so if somebody is asking about symptoms and they want medical advice, our AI shuts down that conversation. Our Dr. Jane says, I'm a PhD researcher, go to a licensed practitioner, because that's a whole, I've had so many people ask me medical questions, and I'm like, I'm not a medical doctor. I can tell you all about the possibilities. I can show you all the possibilities. So those safeguards, privacy, access to files, we are moving away from Convey when we have a data engineer. Got to get some funding. We did not get our phase 2 because I used the word autism and vaccine, political, whatever. But we want to have the privacy so that it's integrated with the Microsoft Azure protection. So for our app, we are planning for it to be designed with institutions. And so when you talk about question banks, those are so protected. And you cannot just have a professor put their question banks in the app and it suddenly become an open AI. That's unethical. And so having those security checks in place about the AI conversation, about when the training happens, when does not, age appropriate. Like we don't want our AI going on and on about Like Giardia can be a sexually transmitted infection. Yes, it can. We can follow up afterwards, but that's not a conversation I'm having with an 8-year-old. So content behavior, content security, and then also just appropriate to the age level, that you really need to have those set in place before you ever start putting kids in your headset. So thanks for that question. I put a lot into thought of that, and I don't, yeah, very important.
That's really smart and forward thinking, I think, for sure. Steph, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering whether there's a downside to making something that's so dangerous cute and cuddly.
The microbes themselves, some of them are bad, but most of them are actually not. It's the body that overreacts. And so getting into the scenes about showing how dangerous these microbes are is great. People are like, oh, COVID's just the flu, and let me show you about what it does to you. Let me show you to that. So I would say having a little bit of danger and a little bit of cute is a balance. Phagy is adorable, and it's safe. That microbe will never, ever hurt us, ever. It is a beneficial microbe versus taking Strep pyogenes and making it as a cobra that spits and is the enemy. And if go into spatial, you can actually shoot it with antibiotics, like real molecules of antibiotics, and it kills the little strep snakes. So I say it's a balance.
Thank you.
No, it's so much fun. Anybody else before we close out today?
It's Laurel up here. I am so excited about this and where it's going. And I love that you're taking it into the AR glasses, because having it be mixed reality, that's just a natural segue to do. And thank you so much for also answering Dot's question about all the challenges, because I know how hard this is. It is just extraordinarily difficult, not just for the development. You thought the development was going to be the hardest thing, right? The funding is a pain. So thank you for being brave too. I really appreciate that. What's next for you? I mean, this is a huge life project. I know your husband wants to slow things down, but I know you better. What's next on your list?
I have a vision for MedMicroMaps to be the global standard for microscopic life sciences. And just even expanding, I focused only on the microbes, but in our, going to conferences, talking, the understanding of the life between the carbon atom and the red blood cell, that is so foundational. Freshman biology, AP biology, chemistry, medical students, for the MCAT, for them to get into medical school, 65% of the content is invisible content. And so our app, the map, it is actually the human assets of the carbon atom, the glucose, the antibody. And so what's next is bringing in the human, bringing in the white blood cells. And so really expanding this experience, not just microbiology, which nobody likes it. Doctors really don't like it because they had to memorize it and they just regurgitated and they forgot it. That's true. But really expanding the possibilities of this experience to any of those invisible concepts and puts it in relation to the body. Social metaverse is really important. RP1, we just connected with them. They really are building something that's so amazing. And so getting into social metaverse, and so anyone who wants to build with me, I can take my microbes. We're making a phone app, and so we want it to be gaming. And so that's sort of my short term, is to have a mobile gaming app that's going to be released by September 1st for the school year. Working with Clubhouse Network. And the most important is going in person. We're relocating to Colorado. We have a beautiful 36-foot Class A motorhome. And so going on the road with our dogs and showing up to anywhere, high schools, homeschools, museums, anyone, community colleges, tech, especially like anyone who's interested in XR industry, we're going to be all over the place. So if anybody is in the Southwest and would love to have Dr. Jane and Ian Holyoke with our dogs and come with our headsets, we would love. We want to get people. We want to get kids. We want to get the teens in the headsets.
Well, Dr. Jane, talking about reaching out to you, we'll include all of our information on our Discord. And then once this YouTube video comes out, we'll again leave her information. But maybe right now, would you like to share how they can get in contact with you for these engagements?
MedMicroMaps. MedMicroMaps. MED as in medical, MICRO as in microscopic, and MAPS, MAPS, because we guide you. We actually just filed a patent on our scaling map that goes from the carbon atom to the red blood cell. So I'm on all socials. LinkedIn, I'm most active, so I respond best on there. And if you just go LinkedIn, MedMicroMaps, it'll come up. Also, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Threads, so we're very infectious. We're contagious and infectious.
No, and thank you so much for sharing this past hour with us. It's beautiful to watch the imagination and the innovation, again, backed by so much power and so much passion. So again, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Now, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here today, because without you, XR News wouldn't be here. Excuse me. So XR News is produced by educators in VR and our XR News volunteer team weekly here in Engage XR. We've been bringing the news from across the metaverse since 2018, and we keep on rolling on. We're meeting weekly now in Engage XR with 2 new special edition segments for XR News like we are today. And then we also have our Innovation Spotlight. Next week, we'll have Laurel, Steph, and Karen. They'll be back at the helm with the latest news and goodness, sharing it with all of us. And then the XR News Innovation Spotlight returns every 3rd Wednesday of the month with Maxwell McGee, Dr. Tom Furness, and Chris Madsen. So get everything on your schedule and don't miss it. It's our last month until we come back in September. And on special July 30th will be our XR News and Educators in VR Summer Party. And for you all, everyone here in Engage XR, we'll be making an announcement in the next couple of days about what's going on and then the next year ahead of plan. Each of our shows is filmed for YouTube and will soon add live streaming to our Educators in VR YouTube channel, Twitch, Discord, and more. To keep up with the news from around the metaverse, and in the meantime, join the Educators in VR Discord and our social media channels to find links to news we highlight in the show and much more about the metaverse and immersive education. You can find all the links at educatorsinvr.com. Now, we couldn't do this show without our Educators in VR partners, sponsors, and supports including iLearn, the Reinhardt Foundation, Girls STEAM Institute, Virtual War Society, Cadets Metaverse, Vertex Form 3D, and Engage XR. And to our amazing volunteer crew, you guys are all amazing, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jane, for sharing your time with us today. And thank you everyone here for watching. You are the reason the XR News Show is here. Thank you. Have a beautiful evening, and I hope to see you guys next February or September.
Yeah, bring in the microbes. Bring in the microbes.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.